What is up, guys? In today's video, we're talking about Tropical Storm Erin that could potentially hit the US as a big hurricane. Let's get right into this video. Tropical Storm Erin has just been named as a tropical system, as this is now a tropical storm with wind speeds of 46 miles an hour and wind gusts of 58 miles an hour with a pressure of 1,004 millibars. This system just passed by the Cape Verde Islands near Africa and killed 5 people, meaning this was already a devastating system before it even becomes a big time system. That's why this is a really dangerous system that we are talking about. And this is expected to become a hurricane already once we get later in this system. And the National Hurricane Center is predicting this thing by the time it reaches north of Antigua and Barbuda and north of Puerto Rican areas, it will become a major Category 3 hurricane. And the way we need to watch this is that this is going to be a really dangerous system, Category 3, maybe even a Category 4 or higher hurricane, and it's going to get real close to the U.S. Now, the first thing we're going to look at here is the spaghetti tracks, which is basically the model track guidance, which use a bunch of different models to kind of depict where this is going to go. They all have different tracks, but this is the main Tropical Storm Erin model track guidance currently, and they all hint that this system will eventually take a curve towards the north once it gets to about this point, really right to the north of Puerto Rico. If you look at the GEFS ensembles, it shows that the system is going to get really strong here by the time it gets past Puerto Rico and north of the Dominican Republic areas. If you see those darker red to pinkish shades, those are showing that the storm is strengthening and getting a lot deeper in the millibar levels. And that's hinting that this thing could potentially even become a major hurricane or maybe even higher than that. But this is all showing a curve to the north. But if you can see, it's really spread out. If we kind of take a look at this here, some of the models are more heading towards the Bahamas, and then some of them just take a curve out to sea. That's why it's really uncertain. If you can see, they're really close together from this point, but once we get right to the north of the Lesser Antilles Islands, we really get a lot of our confidence just really goes straight down. We don't know what's going to happen after that, as a lot of the spaghetti models are really spread out, showing that this thing could hit the US or it could just go all the way north and go out to sea. Is for all we know. We really don't know right now. Once it gets past there, it's really uncertain, because some models are showing it could head over towards the US, and some are saying it's just going to head straight out towards the sea. But no matter what, if you look at the intensity guidance, this thing is going to be a really intense storm. Right now, it's already at a tropical storm, and a lot of the models are saying this is going to become a Category 2, Cat 3, maybe even a Category 4 system, as there's really low wind shear, really low all of that, and the temperatures across the ocean are boiling hot, really warm. It's basically the only tropical system that we do have out there, so it's nothing for it to fight against. And it's going to get really strong, and that's why it is expected to potentially become a Category 3 hurricane. And that's why we need to watch this really closely, as if it impacts anywhere in the US or even any island, it could cause dangerous impact. Now we're going to take a look at some of the models so we can get a closer look on what could potentially happen if it could hit the inland areas, or if it won't hit any inland areas and will just bring impacts towards the ocean, basically. But if we do look at the GFS here, this is what it shows. It's pretty consistent that this thing will really strengthen by the time it makes it towards north of Puerto Rican and the Leeward Island areas. We do need to watch the Leeward Islands, as it's going to cut really close to that area and will be really strong. I think the main thing could be some basically some isolated strong wind gusts, but nothing too significant, as most of the models and spaghetti tracks are showing it's going to stay fairly north of the Leeward Islands. But once it heads further north, it's going to get really strong here, Category 3, maybe even a Category 4 major hurricane, and it's going to get pretty close to the Bermuda areas, so we definitely need to be watching Bermuda. But luckily, the GFS track says it really curves the north, as we've got our Bermuda high pressure right here. And this would show that it's really strong and pushes this thing just straight out to sea and doesn't impact anyone. That would be the best case scenario right there. But if we check out the European model, it's a little bit different. It has this thing developing and really not strengthening until it really gets past the Puerto Rican areas. I do think the GFS is a little bit better with how it's developing right at this point, but it has it much closer to the US regions, but then it just has it going out to sea like the other models do. And this would all be the best case scenario. But as you can see, it gets really close to portions of the northeastern and the mid-Atlantic parts of the US. But we really do need to be well aware, as this is still 10 days out for these areas in the inland areas in the US. So it could change. It could change, the models could start showing it heads towards the U.S. and shows that the Bermuda high is a lot weaker. If the Bermuda high is a lot weaker, it'll head towards the U.S. But a lot of these models are saying it won't do that right now, and it'll just head straight out to sea. That would be the best case scenario. But if we check out the Canadian model, which this one's not as accurate, but it can still give you quite a bit of a depiction. It has this thing developing right here, right north of Puerto Rican areas, a little bit further south, and actually impacting Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and the Leeward Island areas. This would be the worst case scenario as the Bermuda high stays really, really weak, and this thing heads straight towards the U.S. That's why you can't let your guard down, as there's still potential that this thing heads towards the U.S. As this model, the Canadian, shows it heading straight for North Carolina. Now, this does not mean it's going to hit that area. It could hit anywhere across the East Coast, or it will just go out to sea. That's why it's still uncertain, but it's just to let you keep an eye out and really get prepared as hurricane season is ramping up. All right, I hope everybody did enjoy this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. This tropical storm Erin is definitely going to be a really, really dangerous system, as it could potentially become a major hurricane. As it tracks towards the north, the models get really spread out, so we really don't know what's going to happen. Some of the models are saying it's just going to head out to sea and become a fish storm and not impact anyone, but some of the models are also saying that this thing could head towards the U.S. and actually bring some damaging impacts. So we definitely do need to be watching this system, as it could cause some impacts. And it's still uncertain, as this thing's quite far out, but definitely be prepared as hurricane season is ramping up. Hope you guys did like this video, and bye everybody.